I'm getting ready to go to the gym here, and I wanted to make this video to give you 3 ways that you can improve in the gym. And these are 3 ways that I learned over years of going to the gym, and it took me a long time to really kind of solidify each of these methods. And if I would have figured it out earlier, it could have saved me a lot of time. So essentially, that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to just give you the free game, trying to save you some time, trying to get you some more gains. I want you to get bigger muscles. So that's what we're doing today. So we're going to talk about the 3 pillars of gym progress, okay? And we're going to talk about how you can actually improve each one, all right? So we're going to be talking a little bit about strength, technique, and rep skill. And who's I don't know how this got in there. How did that get in there? Who's this handsome devil here? Okay, credentials as always. These are some just a little progress over the years. Meat Boy, and had some ups, had some downs. Back up to 203 today, looking like this. Okay, so starting to feel a little fat, but whatever is what it is. Okay, I'm a little fluffy, but what can you do? All right, so we're going to talk about first the 3 pillars, right? And so what are the 3 pillars? Okay, so first you see my excellent drawing skills. Here's the platform, and this is the platform of you, okay? And well, really it's your gains. Okay, so this is the platform of your gains. And what's holding up this platform of gains? Well, I'm glad you asked. So you have 1, 2, and 3. You have your 3 pillars of progress. So you have your strength, you have your skill in a rep range, then you have your technique with a given exercise. Over here is your technique, okay? So each of these pillars is holding up your gains, right? And if one of these pillars gets really tall and one of these other ones does not catch up, let's for say example, your strength gets really, really high. But your skill in the rep range is not good. Maybe it's cut off halfway. And also your technique sucks. Okay, so let's just say squat, for example. Let's say somehow you were able to, or maybe you're just like a cornbread Iowa guy. Like I work out with this guy who's, he's like 6 foot and he's been 230 since he was 15 years old. Okay, so he's just like a giant, naturally strong. So if you're really strong, and you have really bad skill in a given rep range and poor technique, your platform of your gains is going to be tilted off, okay? It's going to fall over, crash, and you'll probably fall to the ground and die, most likely. That's probably what's going to happen. If you're like me and naturally, coming out of high school, I was 125 pounds. Say if you're like me and you just had no strength or skill or technique, then your platform is just really, really close to the ground, and you're probably just going to be fine no matter what. But anyways, as you're trying to increase your gains, right, you're trying to increase your overall progress in the gym, if one of these areas is lacking, it can hold you up and hold up your progress, right? Well, hold you up like delay, like not in the good way. You want it to hold up your progress. You get it, shut up. Okay, so if one of these areas is lagging behind, hopefully you can, after watching this video, you'll be able to figure out how to identify where you're lacking and work on that one particular pillar and build it up and then pump up the jam on the rest of your progress and improve overall, okay? So let's get into what these 3 pillars are individually. First one is going to be your technique in a given exercise. Okay, and we're going to use squats, for example, because a squat is a very technical exercise. There's a lot to it. I mean, even doing squats for 10, 12, coming up 15 years, there's still going to be times where, you're like learning little things and tweaking little tiny things about your squat and figuring it out. So it takes a very long time to master some of these movements. Okay, it's not something that you could just instantly be good at. I see it all the time. Guys throw a couple plates on the squat rack, which is great. Glad to see them squatting, but their technique is not good, right? Knees are buckling in. They're kind of all cattywampus. the legs are kind of all cattywampus when they're going down. The bar. Hold on here. Like the bar is kind of like at an angle, like their torso isn't straight, like they're kind of going down sideways and everything's uneven, and mostly cattywampus. Really, oh Matt, producer, you're fired. Okay, so these are things that you want to avoid. All right, so how do you improve? So if let's say your technique does suck, that's fine. Everybody's technique starts off not being great, right? So how do you improve it? How do you make it better? Really, in my opinion, the best thing you can do to improve your squat, or really this applies to like squat, deadlift, bench press, overhead press, like the technical compound movements. Watch the greats. Okay, watch the greats, lower the weights, and then practice the exercise. Okay, and we're talking about when you go to the gym, you're not just like going to do your 3 sets of whatever at a hard set. Back the weights off. Like focus on trying to get good reps. Okay, watch the greats, lower the weights. I didn't mean to make that rhyme, but it sounds kind of cool. Okay, so I remember a while ago, pretty much every single time I would go to the gym. Before I went to the gym, I'm going to add another name on here. Before I would go, I would watch an Athlean-X video. Okay, so no matter what I was doing, if I was going to do chest or back or whatever, I would watch an Athlean-X video to just kind of like get some tips and pointers on how to do that exercise. But I always thought that if you were going to want to improve your bench or your deadlift or your overhead press or squat, you should probably look to the guys who do that as their main thing, right? Power lifters. Even though I don't want to be a power lifter, and I don't even really want to be a bodybuilder either. I just I just want to be bigger. I just want to build mass and be the biggest guy at my kid's birthday party. That's all I care about. But if I want to get better at those things, I'm thinking, well, I'm just going to go to the guys who that's all they do, right? So these are your approved sources of learning that I have vetted for you personally. These guys I've been watching for years, watching their stuff. And these are all great channels. If you want to learn how to bench press, deadlift, squat, until I can get set up and get some sweet videos, yes, I'm going to suggest you go check these guys out because they have some great knowledge and they're professionals. Okay, Mark Bell, great, tons of great information. Alan Thrall, Mitchell Hooper is like a super strongman, giant guy. Louis Simmons, another famous powerlifter, and Athlean-X too. Maybe I wouldn't go to Athlean-X for the big 3 compounds. That's more like sports, technical type information. But any of these other channels, go check those out. And then again, lower the weights and just practice your technique, right? That's the only way you're going to get better is to do that. But you need to lower the weights first, because if you're focusing so much on just surviving, if you put your max squat on there, you're not going to be able to improve your squat technique, because all you're going to be able to think about is trying to not die, right? Okay, so the next pillar is rep range skill. This is actually something that took me quite a while to figure out before it really clicked with me. And this is the main thing that I don't get. Well, maybe because I don't know, because I didn't know when I was younger. But I see this happen all the time. Younger guys come into the gym and then they're just trying to 1 rep max on the bench press, right? You've done it. I've done it. People do it every day. But this is this kind of hurts my brain though, right? Because the way you approach a 3 rep or a 1 rep bench press is much, much different from the way that you approach a 12 rep bench press or a 10 rep bench press, right? The bracing is going to be different. Your breathing is going to be different. How you bring the bar down, everything's going to be different. How fast you try to do the rep. Everything's going to be totally different on that rep, okay? So if you think about it, if somebody is only, they just are like a normal gym goer and they always come in, they do the 3x10 and then they do this exercise, 3 sets of 10. And then they're like, all right, today we're going to 1 rep max. It's you could probably try to do that, but like you're leaving so much on the table because you haven't even learned the skill of doing a low rep exercise, right? Doing something in the 3 rep range or the 2 or 1 or 4 is a completely different skill set than doing it in 12 reps. Okay. And again, it's one of those things where how can I improve this? You got to practice at the given rep ranges. You got to practice at the lower rep ranges. And I probably would not just jump right to ones. Right. Thinking back now, especially if you're my age, definitely don't do it. Right. Or especially if it's like a newer exercise for you, please. If you're my age and you haven't been doing a particular exercise for a very long time, do not 1 rep max it. You'll rip a tendon or you'll pull something. You'll hurt yourself. Please. Trust me, us old guys, we got to stick together, okay? I'm looking out for you. So what I would do is, in this situation, okay, slowly turn those reps down week to week, right? So first week you're doing 10 reps, and then the next week you're doing 8 reps on that exercise, and then you're doing 5, or even slower than that, 8, 7, 6, all the way down to 1, and then take a deload week. That's like the typical, strength programming style. All right, that was the second pillar, and now we're going to move on to the third and the final pillar, which is your actual physical strength, okay? So we've covered technique of an exercise, like how good you are at doing a particular whatever, how good you are at doing a squat. Then there's a skill at a rep range. I'm really good at low rep ranges, or I'm really good at doing 20 reps. And now we're talking about your actual physical strength. Okay, how do we increase the actual strength piece? Well, there's only a few ways, okay? And first, you need to eat your dang food. I know you're not eating your food, okay? I know you're not eating enough. Did you track your calories today? Okay, be honest with me. Tell me down in the comments, did you track your calories? I don't think you did. I don't think you did. If you did, good on you, okay? I did. My wife did. So if we can, you can too. I believe in you. If you have eaten your dang food, the next thing you need to do is, working low reps. Okay, so typically working in a low rep range regularly is going to help with your overall strength building. Okay, so, and also I would say beyond just doing low reps sometimes, I'm talking about using low rep strength principles in a programmatic way in your regular routine. Okay, so what the heck am I even talking about? And I'm talking about doing 5x5, right? That's like a typical strength program, right? So you could do 5x5 for a little while. And what is 5x5? It's easy as I just explained it. 5 reps, 5 sets, right? Something like that. Or do it like a classical strength pyramid, right? Which is kind of like what I described earlier, where you start, with a 3x8, and then the next week you do a 3x7, 3x6, 5, 4, all the way up to building up to doing some big singles, some ones. Okay, so these are ways that are proven ways to build your strength. And kind of in this is also doing your best to track your weight and ensuring, this is my blanket thing that I'm sprinkling on the top of, make sure you're doing your progressive overload, even though I still don't know, right? I made a video about this the other day. I still don't know if progressive overload is a result or is a driver. Okay, what I mean by that is, I'm kind of going on a tangent here, but when you progressive overload, okay, is it the act of adding more weights over time that is giving you the progress? Or are you able to do more weights as a result of you actually training hard? Because the thing is, progressive overload, like your actual strength gains, are so slow that you probably aren't going to notice it week to week, right? Like you're just, like if you see a gain, a noticeable gain, like a 10-pound plates in 1 week, like that's really good. And it was maybe because you were lagging behind or you're eating in a huge surplus or something like that. But that's typically not normal. Usually it's a lot slower than that. So I don't know. Is it real? I don't know. Will we ever find out? Not likely. Anyways, the last way you can increase your strength, make sure you eat more. Crazy. Almost like I mentioned that earlier, okay? You got to eat your food. Bring some honey to the gym and guzzle it in between your sets. All right, that's all I have for you today. Hope you enjoyed today's video. Let me know down in the comments if you want to see something else. And yeah, I hope you guys have a great day. See you in the next one.